Kim has given up the reins. That's not often happens.
Oh,
Look at that.
wow.
I was like, I'm gonna dare to dream. I was saying for you to dare to dream, Dr. Bob, but all of a sudden I'm daring to dream.
He
Hey,
knows. Kim keeps the tight reins. So,
yeah,
woo.
yeah.
That's
Uh,
what we love about you.
but hey, I've got two
One
great
of the
partners,
many
so
things.
I don't have to anymore. That's right.
We've got partners.
So, what is up? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on a Wednesday night. We really do appreciate you. The buzzword that we're really going to kind of look through a different lens tonight is all about authenticity. And I
Mhm.
think that that word is generally overused in the online space, and it's become such a superficial thing that we wanted to talk to you collaboratively tonight about how authenticity can really, really be your superpower,
Mhm.
right? And how to tap into it so that you allow it to be your superpower as an introverted business boss. How does that sound?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you both and friends, I'd love for you to put in the chat for us, what do you feel the definition, the true meaning of authenticity is? And while they're typing, I'd like to ask both of you kind of what do you think about authenticity when you hear it?
Go
Um,
ahead, Barbara. Ladies first.
okay. Here's the thing, it's like because so many people overuse this word and be authentic. And it's like, and it became such a thing that authenticity was performance versus actual authenticity. And that, I mean, that was my experience of being authentic, was that people were in this performance of trying to be authentic, right? And so I know in television, one of the things that we're like going, sometimes we tell, oh, just be yourself, and the second you tell an actor or someone to be themselves, they're like, I don't know what to do, right? So to me, authenticity is just embrace all of it, the
Yeah.
good, the bad, the ugly, whoever you are, because who you are is absolutely perfect, exactly the way you are. And you don't have to show up as who you think somebody needs you to show up as. And I think we tend to do that a lot, like depending on what room you show up in, you show up as a certain, persona. And so for me is to really, own that, own your weird, if you will. It's like we all have different levels of weirdness to who we are, which makes us so amazing. And weirdness is not a bad thing. Weirdness is just uniqueness. Weirdness is like, how we look. Look at the three of us. Like, we're very even different looking people. We all live in different parts of the United States. We have different cultural upbringings, but all of it makes us who we are. And instead of like trying to kind of like suppress that, it's really owning all of that and adding it to the story that is you. That's what authenticity is for me.
Before Bob answers, I want to ask you, because you talked about the performance piece. So was there any part of you that because you saw the performance piece that you felt ick when you thought of authenticity?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because for me, if I'm going to be totally transparent, for me, the journey to authenticity has been one of releasing performance, because I was a professional performer from the age of 8, right? And then I became a Hollywood producer director. I was an actor. I moved to Hollywood to be an actor, and then I, became a producer director and a writer. But performance was always really in the forefront. So for me, it's been a kind of an unlearning and a really taking away performance, because who I am is enough to show up as myself, that I don't have to put on a character or a persona. That being said, I know, sometimes alter egos, I talk a lot about alter egos. Alter egos can help you show up more of yourself because it pushes you, but it's different than performance, like, me, like, kind of for many years, I was like, hey, like showing up like this person, like I need to be this person. And, and now I just show up as myself and know that that's enough.
So good.
That's a great
Bob,
question here, because I was going to ask Barb the same thing, because I always think when I think of Hollywood, right, actors, I think of them getting into character. And when I think of that, that doesn't strike me as being authentic. So I was wondering
Right.
what that meant. Yeah.
Right.
To me, I thought a lot about this when we broached this topic. I was like, what the heck does it even mean to me? And I think it means being the real being the real person, right? Being you as a person, but also being you as a business owner. And it's two different things. So like being you as a person is what we just been talking about, showing up as yourself, like not trying to be somebody that you're not. When I first started in my business and somebody told me to just be myself, I freaked out, because I'm like, who the heck would want to follow? I know nothing.
Right.
Yeah, I can talk to you about like how to make embryos and how to make babies in a lab, but I can't talk to you about anything else in business. So it would freak me out in the beginning. It was like, I don't think I want to be myself here. And it was a struggle. But it does mean, like, being yourself, your own values, you're like somebody said, I think Lucille said, keeping your word, right? That's all part of being authentic. But being yourself as a business person, I think maybe in terms of our discussion, is even more important. And that's like the old fake it till you make it thing, right? That's one of the worst pieces of advice I ever got, was trying to pretend or act as if I had all these results when I didn't have them. And as a result, I got a wicked case of imposter syndrome. Like I just didn't feel good about myself. I didn't want to show up because I felt, I didn't know what I felt, but actually I felt inauthentic. And so I think that's, you can, like I've heard people say, well, act as if, right, and go as though. That's kind of an old school advice that I'm okay with, because you can act as if in your mentality, right, in your thoughts. It's a more positive thing. But if you go out on video and you kind of make it seem like you've had all these results when you haven't, which is inauthentic, right? You're misleading, and at some point you're going to get called on it, and somebody will realize it. But I think to me it's a two-edged sword. It's being authentic, being yourself as a person, but also being yourself as a business owner. If that makes any sense.
I love that. I'm actually really glad that you brought that part up, right? Because when we look at social media, and Carlos, like, fake it till you make it. I hate nothing more than fake it till you make it, because that's exhausting, right? It goes back to the performance, and it goes back to what I'm about to say is when we look at other people's highlight reels, they have such a great life. They rolled out of bed and they're making 25K a month. And what am I doing wrong? Right? So then you start to potentially question your values and your beliefs, and potentially start to do things that are out of alignment with who you are authentically, not only as a person, but as a business owner, right? And that professional. So I really, really love that you brought that to the table. Guys, is this making sense so far? Is this landing? I love that distinction. And I had a question queued up, and of course it's like, I'm pulling a bob.
That's called old age.
Damn it. I just had a birthday last week, so it
happens to me on a regular basis.
The temperature's turning up over here.
Exactly. Your own personal summer.
Oh my gosh. So as a business owner, how do we take our personal authenticity and align this with our business authenticity?
That's a great question. Bob, I'll let you answer this first.
Yeah, so my favorite answer to this is, it's kind of a cliche again, but it's taking people on your journey. To me, that's the easiest way to be authentic. Show them what you're doing, warts and all, what's working, what's not working. But when you do that, what it causes you to do is to keep trying something else, right? Because if you just say, well, I tried this and it didn't work, and you leave it at that, people are like, okay, like,
Right.
what do you do? But if you say, hey, like I prospected 100 people, saying this and this, but I got 100 no's, then okay, what are you going to do differently the next 100? Right? For example, I mean, I don't like cold prospecting, but it's what are you going to do different? And as you do something different, then you report on that until you actually hit on stuff. Well, yeah, I tried this and wow, this one worked. This one was much better. I'm going to build on that. That's, I think, to me, what I look for with somebody. If I see somebody actually telling me that stuff didn't work, that draws my attention because I know they're being authentic with me. They're being truthful. Because like Kim said, you go on Facebook, it's like every time they tried something, it worked, and it worked amazingly, and they're all pulling these commission checks. And like Kim said, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this?
Right.
And it's social media is great and it's horrible for the same reasons that people can say whatever they want, right? And when you kind of want to put your best foot forward, you're only going to talk about your successes, right? It's natural.
Yeah.
Yet it's the talking about your failures and what you're going to do about it that, to me, really builds trust. And I think Carlos used the word trust and authenticity in the same sentence, and I think that's very true. Authenticity builds trust. It breeds it. And the more authentic you can be, the more truthful you can be. And here's the thing about trust, right? I've always said this, and I think it's so true. Trust takes a long time to build with somebody in your regular life, on social media, in your business. Trust takes a while. Like it takes me a while to trust somebody,
Mhm.
and it can be gone in a second if I catch somebody lying.
Yep.
Right? Or not
So
being
true.
truthful. It's true in your personal life and it's true in business.
Mhm.
So, when you're going through this stuff, you have, like, when I'm writing an email even or putting on a post, I'm always looking at it through the lens of, well, is this truthful? Like, is this actually what I meant? Is this coming across the wrong way? Because if people perceive you that you're not being truthful, you're never going to get them back, right?
Right.
Unless you
Right.
do a huge mea culpa and just beg for their forgiveness, right?
Right.
But so that's my
You know,
long answer to a short
and
question.
that's interesting. Yeah, the whole mea culpa thing, because sometimes mistakes happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And growth happens through mistakes as well. But it's about really not being deceptive in any way. And so that's why to your point, Bob, I love the transparency of it all, right? The more, like Kim, you're amazing at this. In
very
your
transparent.
transparency and people talk about it, right? Because you do not put on airs. You are transparent. You're just out there. Your entire life is there. And and it's really wonderful to watch you blend your life and your business and really go like, this worked, this didn't work. I mean, even to right now, you sent out an email with the wrong date. I mean, with the wrong time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you didn't make it mean anything. That's the other thing. It's like, you didn't make it mean anything, like there was something wrong with you, but you're like, oops, I meant this, but no, because that's what happens. And so people make it mean something. So then they become this other persona, this other thing, like this fake it till you make it kind of a person. Like, yes, I'm making all this money, and they're not necessarily like, and they start telling those stories. And
Oh,
yeah.
you know what? I tell people now that I make the money that I make, I'm very honest about how hard it is. I'm very honest. Like, I've retired my spouse, right? I'm the financial breadwinner for this family.
Mhm.
Everyone has a goal and a desire to retire your spouse. If you do, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. Make sure you like them before you retire them. But two,
Because they're going to be home all the time.
yes, that's right. So, I'm very lucky. But, truth be told, I started to grow a more loyal audience and network and started to make more money as I was showing up extremely transparent, authentic, and myself. And what used to get me in trouble as a child, this thing right here, La Boca, my friends, my clients say to me, I chose to hire you because your directness, your honesty, your brutal honesty, things like that. And I'm like, oh, so it's a secret like skill, it's a gift that I was suppressing because of other people's opinions and expectations.
Yeah.
So I want to pivot for a second for our friends here, because the big burning question, and Barb, I'd love to throw this to you first, is okay, like I heard Bob say, we have to show up, right? And be sharing our journey, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, what's working, what's not working. What I'm feeling for our friends here is, how do I do that and release the fear of opinions, the fear of judgment, the fear of alienation? How do I develop that strength and that courage to do so?
Yeah. There are lots of different ways. The first thing the thing that I talk about all the time is, it's going to sound really trite, but you just have to do it, right? You just have to show up. And at first it's going to be super uncomfortable. It's going to be like jumping out of a plane with is the parachute going to open or not, right? And then you just show up and you do it small, and then you show up again and you keep showing up. And with every time you show up, your confidence starts to build, right? So you're going to start and you're not going to be very good, right? And then you're going to be pretty lousy, and then you're going to be mediocre, and then you'll get good, and then maybe you'll get great, and you never know. But what you're doing is, not only are you showing up and doing it over and over again, and I have tips and tricks to help people, become comfortable in front of the camera, but truly showing up is over and over and over again. The consistency of showing up is the thing that builds confidence. If you do the things you say you're going to do, like I'm going to show up, I'm going to go live 3 times this week, and you show up and you actually do it, all of a sudden you feel more confident. So that fear starts to go away, right? But, there are lots of, I do a, that this is a very surface conversation about this, but, with some clients, I do inner child work, because there's a deeper seated reason why they have a fear to be seen, right? It's dangerous to be seen. And so there's a lot, I don't want to minimize that part of it, because for some people it is deep seated, but for other people, it's just that it's a constant thought of, what are people going to think? What are my friends going to say? For me, even like when I shifted gears from television to coaching, like it was hard for me to do the shift, because all my TV people be like, what's she doing? She won an Emmy. What is she doing? She's like coaching people. She's out there. Like truly for me, it took, Herculean effort for me to go out there and really be like, here's who I am now, and here's what I want to do. So, but I kept doing it.
That's awesome. Bob, I've known you for like 100 years now, and you've truly been one of the most even-keeled, transparent, authentic humans that I've probably ever known. So what's the secret to that?
You missed the crying Jags in the background when nobody sees me, right? But and that's kind of true in the beginning. So here's my thought: if you're going to be in a home business or any kind of business, you got to develop your mental toughness. Right? This is not a game for people who are easily hurt. And if it is, there's ways to develop it. And if you're the kind of person who is, gets dinged and gets hurt by comments or whatever, you got to work on that. And you can actually study mental toughness and work on skills to be more mentally tough. So if you're going to have a business, you got to be mentally tough. If you're going to play on social media, you better come with a suit of armor.
Yeah.
Right? Because as soon as you put yourself out there, you are opening yourself up for praise and for criticism.
Mm-hmm.
The praise is great, right? We all like it, but the criticism is what we remember.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We can have 99 people saying, "You're wonderful, Kim. You're fantastic, Barbara." One person says, "Oh my God, like, what are you doing? You're an idiot."
Mm-hmm.
We gnaw on that like a dog with a bone.
Yeah, that's what we go to bed thinking about, right?
Yeah.
And it all comes down to, I guess, discipline. But I've gotten good at, and I don't get that many haters, but I get some. Like, I wouldn't say they're haters, but they're just people who just aren't very nice. They're having bad days or whatever. And I've gotten good at, and my wife Rosemary, who's Puerto Rican, and she's very direct, and she helps me with this because I'll tell her about it, and she'll just say, "Are they paying your bills? Right? Are they matter at all in your life? Do you even know who they are? Have you met them?" And when somebody calls you out like that and says that, it puts it in perspective, right? This is somebody sitting behind your computer who, for whatever reason, decided to come after you in some way, shape, or form. And really, it should have no effect on you because you've got other people saying you're wonderful, but you're focusing on the negative, which is, I think, human nature. But so it's like there's no like one answer for it because it really depends on the person, like Barb was saying. But I do believe that you have to go into social media understanding what it is and what's going to happen if you show up. Because the more you show up, the more likely it is that you're going to get dinged in some way, right? I've had people who criticize me for taking action because they haven't. It doesn't matter what action you take. They're sitting back there like, I haven't done that. Well, what you're doing is stupid, right? You don't know what you're talking about. I try to come at it from that standpoint and not take it personally. It's hard. It really is. And sometimes I lose it and I come back harder than I should. And then it steamrolls. But that's about the best advice I can give you on that.
I love that. And I wanted to ask each perspective because we are so different as humans and as our journey, right? It just shapes us and it molds us. And unfortunately, my answer to that, you all know, again, the transparency thing. I come from a lot of trauma, a lot. I've had multiple suicides in my family. I've had some serious dysfunction. And I think I got to a point in life where I was like, I don't give a flippin' what about what anybody thinks about me. And it had to come down for me to find the willingness to just show up as I am. And it took that for me. So I'd love to know, as we're talking so openly, it's just to share, that there isn't one size fits all, right? But as an introverted business owner who's out there trying to do the thing, you can feel timid, or you can feel, again, like your blooper reels are constantly being compared to someone else's highlight reel. So what's coming up for you? What questions do you have?
And my question to people more directly would be, have you found yourself not showing up because you're afraid of what people might say or afraid of getting attacked? Because that's really, I talk a lot about consistency, right? My whole game is consistency and building momentum. And the more afraid you are, the harder that is to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's funny because I find the only antidote is as action. That's the
antidote. That is the only antidote, right? Yeah. And it's like anything else, right? Most of the stuff we worry about in life never happens, right? But occasionally you'll get the person coming out and hating on you, and you have to think about that. Our world is dysfunctional, so where do you fit in? Is that a question for us, or is that a rhetorical question, Carlos?
We're just in the mess and chaos with everybody else. I saw a meme that said, you will never be criticized by people doing more than you.
Correct.
As soon as Bob was talking about that, like that meme just flashed in my head, and it's true. My story is so open. I had a guy on YouTube find my email because it's attached to my YouTube channel, and he wrote me an email telling me to go kill myself. And I was like, this bastard knows what I've been through in life. Like, how dare you? And I was mad for like a minute because I was like, what ignorant jackass am I dealing with here? And I increased my YouTube videos just to piss him off.
Fantastic. Because the truth is, when someone does that, it's about them. It really is never about you. You are triggering something in them, something that they can't do, something that they want to do, something that, anything, but it's reminding them of something, and they're going to be triggered and they're going to say something mean. And so we have to know, it goes back again, cliche, we have to know our why. Our why has to be stronger than anybody's comments, right? Then here everybody talks about being canceled. Our why and our mission to what we need to do has to be stronger than the fear of being canceled.
Yes, that's really true. I mean, whenever you struggle with anything, including this, something has to pull you
Yeah.
through that troubling time, whatever you're going through. And I think what we're talking about, the fear of getting called out, the fear of people coming after you, from my experience with coaching people, that's probably the biggest thing. Because yeah, they're afraid that people like they might do it wrong, but they're really afraid of people making fun of them.
Yeah.
You know, that's the core fear there. And that comes down to like, okay, are you going to let that stop you, or is your why big enough to pull you through that? If it's not, then you got some work to do, some background work to do to figure out, why are you building a business? What's the reason you're doing it?
Right.
And like anything else, you're going to have to do things that are hard, as you do for anything that matters in this life. So are you going to do it, or are you going to shrink away? There's only two choices. And unfortunately, what most people do is they spend 2 or 3 years debating back and forth about that question.
He's not wrong. Listen, I want to flip the script, because we really spend a lot of time talking about the negative and the fear and what could happen if you show your true authentic self. So let me ask you both, what could happen when you show your true authentic self?
Right.
Let's talk about that.
Can I go first?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I've always been told you only need a small bunch of raving fans to really make a solid business for yourself, right? And I think that's true. I don't know what the number is, but I think that's true. It doesn't have to be everybody. It doesn't have to be even the majority of people. But if you got like Kim, I don't know Barb's business as well, but Kim, I know you have a solid group of raving fans who support you. The only way you build that is to be yourself.
Yeah.
You can't build that inauthentically. It's impossible, because eventually you get found out by somebody, and then you've lost all of them, right? Who was the one who, you guys can help me with this? There was somebody who was a clean eating person who they found out was, I don't know, she was actually cooking like high fat foods and stuff, and I can't remember who it was now. I forget. Anyway, she got found out. She pretended to be somebody else. People bought into it. They raved about her. Somebody found out what she was doing. She got caught, and she lost her fan base, pretty much. That's a extreme example, but to me, like if you're not being yourself, if you're not talking about your business warts and all, because in reality is everybody's struggling out there.
Yeah.
Right. There's very few people whose business are running on all cylinders and everything's hunky dory, and nothing could be improved. Right. Not too many of those. So, you got to meet people where they are. And the way to do that is to talk about what doesn't work and to remember back to where they were and how that felt, and the questions you ask yourself. And the only way you can do that is to dive back into your own experiences, right? What happened to you, how you felt, and what you're currently doing. So I think my opinion now is that if you want to build a loyal following that will drive your business, that is driven by authenticity.
100%. I agree. And consistency, right?
Consistently authentic.
Because the more you're consistent and authentic, the more confidence you're going to get, and the more clarity also, and so it all goes hand in hand. And truly, I think our capacity for allowing ourselves to be embarrassed, our capacity to not be perfect, our capacity to just, show up as is equal to the capacity of how big your business can be.
Yeah.
Because the more and more you do show up like that, and we all probably have those moments of like, oh, you know, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? It's like, am I just going to fall flat on my face in this, you know, this next thing? But you go like, okay, I might, but then I'm, you know, what means more to me? What is back to your, you know, what is my mission here? You
Yeah.
have a story. I can tell.
I am being
You're dying to tell the story.
First of all, Bob Clark was mortified when I used the word penis in one of my subject lines in my email. Him and Mark Harbert, I think, both climbed under a rug in their reply to me like,
No, this is what I did. This is what I did, Kim. That's interesting.
I don't think they make them more authentic than me. So here's the deal. And I am an introvert. Ask Bob. We were literally just texting earlier today. I'm not performing for you. None of us are doing that here.
Yeah.
But I do blend very well because I really don't give a flippin' crap. Like the haters can hate. Most of the time, believe it or not, I have a brother that I'm estranged from. And he's the hater, not my social media peeps. And he's like, you got all those people on social media fooled. And I'm like, you don't even know me.
Right.
You don't even know me. Recently, we took our trip to Puerto Rico and we were walking around Old San Juan and I called for the Uber. We're ready to go back. I get in this Uber and it smells to holy hell like dog poo. There is something wrong with this guy. He hasn't showered in forever. I'm like, this driver stinks. And so we get out, we go to the hotel, and my husband's like, you want to go to the pool? It's happy hour. They're having fun down there. I'm like, let's go. So I kick my feet up because my daughter's learning how to swim. And lo and behold, there are loads of dog poo in my sneaker. And I was like, oh, it was me the whole time, not the Uber driver. So I run to the bathrooms at the pool, but I was so flustered and embarrassed that I like blamed this Uber driver that I ran into the men's room.
Oh my God.
Oh
I
my
did not
God.
look around. I did not see urinals. I just took my shoe and I was beating it against the trash. And exactly, Desi knew where I was going with this. And I came out and my husband's mouthing to me something. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, men, you're in the men's room. And I look up and I'm like, oh no. And I bend over in the biggest gut-wrenching hysteria of my life. And my husband captures it all on his iPhone camera. And then I posted that all over social media to tell the world what a complete ass I was, not once, but twice.
Yes.
And that's the personal authenticity. But like Bob said, it bleeds into the business authenticity because people know, wow, right? You're walking the walk. You just don't talk the talk. And everything we've talked about here tonight, people can smell BS. No pun intended. And so when you're showing up with a facade in a mask and you're building this audience, it's like the day's going to come where it's just not going to work anymore.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that story. I didn't know that. I didn't know the men's room part of it. I didn't hear
It
that
was
part.
horrible. My husband's like, didn't you see the urinals? I'm like, I didn't look around. I just wanted to poop off my shoe.
Well, the good news is you didn't go into one of the stalls, so that's good.
Nope.
But I do have a question for you guys, and kind of maybe this will kind of take it full turn. Is how do you think, or do you think, that your introvert tendencies help you or hurt you with your authenticity?
Oh, it's a big question, isn't
That
it?
is a big question.
Yeah, we didn't discuss this before, guys.
Yeah,
No,
just
I
so,
like
yeah.
this question.
This is
I
real.
I really like this question because it helps me in my authenticity, but also my transparency more so than my authenticity, because I feel like the transparency gives me more permission to be authentic. So for example, you've all heard me say, like, after a 5-day challenge, I want to sleep for a month. Like, I am tired. I did the do, and I expelled all of my energy. Going to events, in-person events, when we're there for hours and hours and hours, and everyone's like, you want to go get lunch? And I'm like, I love you all, but I really need to go like recharge my batteries, you know? I don't want to party. I don't want to be out late. I want to be in bed so I can be up early. So whether I'm home on a Zoom, I need to have that downtime still. I need to decompress. I need to be unplugged. And like I said, I used to think it was my mental health, but I didn't openly accept the fact that I was an introvert. So I was easily kind of blaming the mental health piece when I was like, holy crap, I'm an introvert. Nice to
Mhm.
meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
How about you?
for me, you know, because I forever just assumed I was just an extrovert, right? I was an extrovert. Most of my life, I was always too much, to this, I'm an extrovert. But to what I've learned is that and I've said this last time, I'm an extroverted introvert, because pure extroverts go out there, they do it, and that fuels them to do more, right? I go out and I do it and I do it and I do it and I hit a wall. And so I, unlike you, would not say, okay, I'm going to go and take care of myself. And so I would keep going until I dropped, and really
Mhm.
like dropped,
Mhm.
like hit a wall. So now knowing that it's okay to kind of be an extroverted introvert, and when I need time to pull back, because the truth is, I never had time before to ideate and to be with my creativity, because I was go, 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 because I thought that's how I had to show up all the time, right? I was negating this whole other part of me, which was the introvert that needed to take care of themselves. And so it's like, I thought in order to be in business, I had to be an extrovert 24/7. And so it's been quite a lesson of burning myself down to be able to embrace the introverted part of me and be okay with that, and know that it's okay to have that part of me as well.
I love
I
that.
love it.
We're not a
My,
phoenix. Can't burn and come back every time, right?
Correct. Oh
right.
my goodness.
Yeah, because it's just a never-ending cycle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But for me, guys, so I'm more the classic idea of the introvert of,
right.
I'm the quiet, even-keeled guy, the bookworm. Here's my latest book. You might want to get it, The Introvert Entrepreneur.
Ooh.
The first thing I do when I want to learn something new is I go on Amazon and see what I can buy.
Nice.
Um, so for me, I've learned to lean into it, my introversion, because it really helps me. It helps me because when I'm talking about being introverted, I know I'm being authentic. There's no wiggle room there. And what I found is I attract the introverts, and the extroverts are probably not interested in me. So just little by little, my list has become more introverted, right? For me, like they're not more introverted. I'm attracting more introverted people onto my list, and that's just because I just talk the way I talk to you guys, right? That's what I am. Like, if I'm if I'm in a room with people I don't know, I'm looking for the door. I'm not in the middle of the room. My wife goes in the middle of the room and she does that stuff, and I look for the nearest exit, and just, I can't wait till I can go up to the hotel room and read my book. Right? That's me.
Yeah, Desi said, that's me too.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, I think, rather than fight it, I think you can leverage your introverted tendencies to your advantage if you're just willing to be, like Kim said, transparent, talk about it. And when I say stuff in my emails about this kind of thing, I get replies like, "Oh yeah," um, like Desiree just said, like, "That's me," right? People are like, "Oh, yes, did you write that email to me?"
Yes.
Right? Then you wrote a good email, right? When that
Right.
happens.
Right.
So
The messaging is right on, because you're
yeah,
speaking. I mean, we attract who we are. So
right,
you're speaking to yourself, and
right,
people are hearing it and going like, "Oh my God, he's speaking directly to me."
yeah, yeah. So my advice would be, don't try to hide it, lean into it,
Yep.
be who you are, and you'll attract people who who you're supposed to attract.
And, I just feel like we're kind of at that table right now where
Mhm.
when you're not doing that, right? Maybe we're at a table of full extroverts who have zero compassion and zero understanding of Why can't you go full out? Why can't you go harder? Why aren't you the champion? Why aren't you pushing to be, do, have all? And it's like, I'm going to die. Like if I don't just, step out for a second. So it builds your circle. And
Yeah.
that's so important.
And sometimes I'll just finish with this. Sometimes you have to explain it to the people around you the most. Like my wife is very extroverted, and she didn't really understand that when I was done with a 5-day challenge that I needed to take 2 or 3 days and just hide. She's like, come on, next thing, let's go. Right. And I'm like, I can't, I have no energy left. She's like, what are you talking about? And
I
so
sometimes wonder if we need to like wife swap. You can have my wife, I can have you, or vice versa, because I'll literally go out to the living room and Rich is like, you never talk. You never talk to me. How come you're not talking? He's like, oh, you spent the whole day talking. I'm like, I don't want to talk anymore. I just have 36 Zooms. I don't want to talk.
yeah. So you got to keep that in mind. And when you're building your business, your significant others or people around you may not quite understand it.
He's going to get so mad when he hears I just called him my wife. So let's not show Rich this recording. Okay?
I think we can edit that video. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, I hope that you're taking seriously some value away this evening. I know for me, when I sit in a more open, again, not to keep using the word transparent conversation like this,
Right.
it makes me feel like I have more clarity about myself, a little more compassion for myself, and then I'm able to kind of go on accordingly and adapt, right? So I'd love to know from our friends in the room right now, do you feel that you have been seen and heard and understood this evening? And I'm going to give you a second to reply before I end myself. Oh, Michael, I'm so sorry. And I'm glad you're here, right? This is exactly why we do this. I totally understand. I think we all do. He said, I feel much better about things. I hit a wall a couple weeks ago. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So would you be interested in recharging with us?
Right.
And looking at a way to build your business with your strengths as an introvert? I'm happy to, Desi. Barbara, Dr. Bob, and myself, we're 3 very different introverts, yet we have a lot in common. And we understand what it takes to be in an extroverted world as an introvert. We understand what it takes to build transparently, authentically. And sometimes you just need that guidance, right? You need to be around the right table and the right circle. And so we have created something for you that I hope you're as excited as we are. And that is called the Introverts Business School. And it is a legit school. Like we have gone all nerdy out. We have got lecture halls starting next Wednesday. Every Wednesday. Is this where I'm allowed to say 8 p.m. Eastern?
Yes.
8 o'clock. Okay. See, you do not have to show up to every lecture hall, but we are going to give you an opportunity to join the 3 of us. And we'll be on a rotation. So sometimes it'll be one of us and we will have a topic or a theme to help you really sharpen your sword, really gain clarity. And what's the word I'm looking for right now? It's a C. It's like competence, really confidence on who you are as an introvert and building your business through that lens. And then also once a week, we're going to have study hall, where you get to, it's an option, right? You're never forced to, you don't have to. You can show up with us on a study hall and it's carved out work time. Whatever the one thing that you're working on that you have to get off of this to-do list, or maybe you need some guidance from a mentor or some help, we are there in an open room to support and serve you on your journey. And I'm really excited to share this with you. Bob, do you remember the prices of our business schools that we looked up last week? We had Harvard Business School, we had Wharton Business School. It was crazy.
Yeah, the tuition, the yearly tuition is about $6 no, 30 something thousand a year, 30, 40,000 a year, whatever. It came down when you broke it down monthly to an average about 6K a month to be part of a business school like that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Harvard was 64.48 a month.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So obviously we're not Harvard, we're not Oxford, we're not Wharton, but what I can tell you is that we have all built multiple six-figure businesses, all in the corporate arena and also at home, by the way. We've all had a career before we kind of turned as an entrepreneur. And together we have a combined over 70 years of experience building businesses, sales, leadership, marketing, all the things, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to share this with you and just kind of show you we are now enrolling into the Introverts Business School, and it's not 6,000 to 7,000 a month. Your tuition is $77 a month. So as I've said, I'm going to scroll through this super quick. We do not like the tacky cart reopens and the slide decks where you see those value stacks where everyone overinflates their numbers. I think we're all dealing with enough inflation right now. So we've got, this is completely tailored for you as an introvert. You have found your home. Again, expert guidance. Every Wednesday, we will have that lecture hall to keep you motivated, up with current trends, current events, the study hall once a week. And this is all going to be housed in a very like exclusive community Facebook group where you get to ask your questions, celebrate your wins, and really experience what true community means. So of course, Barbara Bonds, Dr. Bob, myself, $77 a month. I'm going to drop the link here in the chat. Is there anything that you guys want to add?
I would just say, just so the question might be, well, how is this different from other membership sites or training sites that is out there for marketing? Because there are some. And the difference that I see is that everything, we'll teach the tactics, we'll teach the strategies, we'll teach all the skills that you need to know to have a successful business, but it's all taught through the lens of being an introvert. And I think that's the big difference is like, because sometimes for introverts, it's not easy to do certain things
Right.
or to figure out how to kind of tweak it so that it's more acceptable, more easy for us to do. And that's where I think we're going to really excel is that, we'll teach video, but video through the eyes of an introvert.
Right.
Right? We'll teach email, we'll teach, Facebook, any kind of social media, but it's all through the eyes of being an introvert. How do you manage that? How do you kind of navigate through all these things that are taught to everybody else, but do it through the eyes of an introvert? That's the big difference between us and everybody else.
I love that. I love
And
that.
I think the energetics behind it is also so important. Back to what I was saying, it's like going, being an introvert. Yeah, there tends to be a level of deeper thought and, deeper needs even. I mean, because we look and go like, okay, who are we in this world, in this business world? And do we have to show up as that person? And we don't. And it's almost like this is permission to be you and still be super successful in what you're doing. And that's what I love about the distinction is through that lens of the introvert, we are truly leaning into your strengths. And that's why I was like, we've got to do this.
Mm.
And another thing I would say, Kim, is a lot of the problems here, the struggles people are having happens way before tactics and strategies. It's mindset, right? It's limiting beliefs. It's all that. And I believe Kim and Bart both are NLP certified,
Yep.
which means you're going to get some amazing training on mindset, limiting beliefs, getting through that. So, I think we got everybody covered in that because we all know you guys are really great on that. We all know beginning to advance strategies in marketing. We're all good at that. Barb has a lot of sales experience as well. So, we think we have a great team here to really help you guys get through your business and make it the way you want it to grow.
Yeah. And I'm also certified as an ontological coach. So that's all about mindset and being and ways of being and all of that. So, it's not just tactics and strategies. We're going to go deeper than that, which I think is great. I love that we're doing that.
And I'm certified in life
Exactly.
because I'm the oldest.
Oh, I
You're
love
Dr.
it.
Bob.
I love it. So listen, we really appreciate you carving out some time. We hope that you join. We really do. That's why we created this. We want to serve. We think we've developed a fantastic thing here that will support you in a way that you've never been supported before. But if you choose not to join right now, we understand, and we hope that you still got value out of, our discussion this evening. Do you have any questions for us?
This is where the chat delay is.
The introverts, no one wants to be first.
Yeah.
Don't bite.
Well, based on, I mean, I don't know what people are going to type, but based on the stuff that I saw, the comments, I think we hit on a lot of the stuff that people were struggling with tonight.
Right.
Because I saw quite a few comments of "that's me," right? You're talking to me. So based on that kind of thing, I think, and Desiree said she loved it. It was awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think we nailed it tonight, guys.
Beautiful. Well,
Me
thank you so much for your time. We hope to see you inside of the Introverts Business School, IBS, right? You're going to hear a lot of that in your emails. Sometimes marketing.
So before we get off, right? So we were playing with names when we first started this idea, and I kiddingly came up, we should call it the Introverts Business School, IBS. And Kim's like, I actually like that.
So do I. I was like, our IBS is going to cure your IBS of showing
Yes.
the business owner.
Oh, that could totally be a tagline, Barb.
Yes, I know.
Oh my gosh, I can see the swag now. Jesse, you get it, girl. All right. Well, I would say thank you again. This webinar is officially a wrap, and Barb, you're still the host. So if you want to close us out and kick us
Yes.
out, I'm okay with that.
Okay, it's a wrap, and we'll see you soon.
Right.
Yes.
We'll
Bye,
start soon.